There was once a kingdom in Africa so powerful, so rich, and so advanced that Europeans could not believe it was African. Its art revealed anything in Europe. Its kings were worshipped like gods. Its walls stretched longer than the Great Wall of China. And then, in just a few days, it was gone. This is the story of the Benin Kingdom, one of Africa's greatest civilizations, brought down not by weakness but by greed and betrayal. Welcome back to our History Africa. Today we uncover the rise and fall of Benin Kingdom and how Britain looted its treasures still locked in European museums today. The story of Benin begins almost 1,000 years ago in the 11th century. It was ordinarily a collection of villages ruled by elders, but as the kingdom grew stronger, they turned to a divine king, the Oba of Benin. By the 14th century, Benin had become one of the most powerful empires in West Africa. The Oba was the spiritual and political head. Chiefs and guards managed different aspects of government. Skilled warriors defended the empire. Benin City was no ordinary city. European visitors who arrived in the 15th century were stunned. The city is large and broad. The streets are straight and everywhere there are great trees providing shade. The king's palace is bigger than anything in Europe. The city walls and moats stretched over 16,000 kilometers, 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China. Yet this African marvel is barely mentioned in world history. More so, the Benin's greatest pride was its art. The Benin Bronzes, thousands of plaques and sculptures made of brass, ivory and bronzes were not just decorations, they were historical records. Each plaque told a story, the Obas and their victories, daily life in the empire, battles, rituals, and spiritual beliefs. They were so detailed that Europeans could not believe Africans made them. Some claimed they must have come from ancient Greece or Egypt, but no, this was pure Benin genius. In 1485, the Portuguese became the first Europeans to trade with Benin. They came for pepper, ivory, and later slaves. In return, they gave guns, alcohol, and European goods. The Portuguese admired Benin's wealth and order. Unlike many parts of Africa, Benin controlled its trade strictly. For centuries, Benin managed to keep a balance, but when the British came in the 18th centuries, their strength was not just trade, it was domination. By the late 18th centuries, Britain was desperate for palm oil, rubber, and other resources, but the Oba of Benin, Ovon Ramwe Nogbaisi, stood firm. He restricted trade to protect his people. The British merchants grew angry. They pressured the British government to act. In 1897, Britain sent what they called a diplomatic mission to Benin, but in reality, it was a test of Benin's resistance. The Oba, busy with sacred rituals, had warned them not to come, but they ignored him. As the British soldiers marched towards Benin, they were ambushed by Benin warriors. Most of the British officers were killed. This became known as the Benin Massacre. Though the British had provoked the conflict, they used it as the perfect excuse. In February 1897, thousands of British troops stormed Benin City in what they called the Punitive Expedition. But it was no mere punishment, it was destruction. Benin's warriors fought bravely but were outnumbered and outgunned. The city was burned to the ground. Innocent men, women, and children were massacred. Worst of all, the Oba's palace, the heart of the kingdom, was looted. Over 3,000 bronzes, ivory, talks, and sacred artifacts were stolen. These treasures were shipped to Britain, then sold to museums in London, Berlin, Paris, and New York. The Oba Ovora was exiled to Calabar, where he later died in sorrow. The once great Benin Kingdom had fallen. Today, the stolen bronzes are scattered around the world. The British Museums holds over 900 pieces. Germany, France, and the US also hold hundreds. Some bronzes are sold for millions at private auctions, but these bronzes are not just acts, they are the soul of Benin. Nigeria has been fighting for their return for decades, and though some countries have agreed to return a few pieces, the majority still remain in Europe. The fall of Benin was not just the destruction of a kingdom, it was the theft of African history, but the legacy of Benin lives on. The Oba of Benin still sits on the throne today, respected as a cultural leader. The descendants of Benin still celebrate their history with pride. The demand for the return of the bronzes grows louder every year. The world is beginning to recognize that Africa's treasures must return home. The fall of Benin Kingdom is a painful reminder of how Africa's greatness was stolen, but it is also a reminder of who we are, a people of strength, art, and resilience. Do you believe Europe should return the Benin bronzes? And what can Nigeria learn today from the fall of Benin Kingdom? Comment your thoughts below. Let's talk. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our History Africa, because our stories must never be forgotten. Thank you, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.